Hello and welcome back to Cost Accounting. I'm your host, Dr. B. Today we are currently in week 7. The course has 8 weeks in total. We are currently in week 7. And what does that mean for us? As you can imagine, we are now in the busiest week of the course. So today we're going to be talking about decision-making, pricing, and robotic process automation. Week 7, very busy week. It's probably it is the busiest week of the course. There are a couple of goals that we need to accomplish within the next 7 days. We must participate in the discussion forum regarding robotic process automation, complete a homework assignment, complete exam 3. Homework assignment and exam 3 are found in our GLINE. We also have the 10K report and the 10K Excel file. If you're wondering, oh, Dr. B, what is a 10K Excel file? Go to content within the classroom, week 7, come down to the 10K report, 10K Excel file, click on the 10K Excel file. You'll find an attachment. Download that attachment. And take a look at the instructions. Come on down to week 7 and it asks us to complete a Excel file in regard to these ratios. That will help to complete the project after you've done the Word document, Excel file, the PowerPoint presentation that you worked on the previous week. Submit all that great stuff in week 7 under the 10K project folder. And that will help you to complete week 7. So again, to recap, very, very busy week ahead. We have the discussion actually we have 2 discussions. We have IMA website recap, very simple, straightforward. Just visit the IMA website and answer the prompts. We have the robotic process automation that we'll talk about. Discussion forums, I'm not terribly worried about at the moment. I want you to focus your attention on the exam, on the homework assignment, and the project. Those are really the key ticket items, right? So please, please, please start working early and work often. And in saying that, I would like to go ahead and start today's conversation. And so let's talk about the concept of management decision-making from the perspective of cost by talking about controllable costs. In management, we don't always have the luxury of controlling cost. There are certain costs that are uncontrollable. Typically, in cost management and cost accounting, the costs that we do not have control over are typically fixed costs. I don't have control over rent. I don't have control over insurance. I don't have control over other fixed costs like depreciation. Those are outside of my control. They are fixed. Remember, fixed costs are costs that we must incur regardless of the level of output. I have no control over those costs. Those are uncontrollable costs. Controllable costs are costs within management's control. I can control direct labor. I can control direct materials. I can control other variable costs. I can control most of those. So in management, we make decisions around the costs that we can control. We can, again, we can control things like direct labor, direct materials, other variable costs. I can control those things. And I can make decisions based off of the control of those costs. For example, I can decide to produce additional units of output based off of the direct labor, direct materials. I can make decisions to produce more or produce less. Makes perfect sense, right? I can control those costs. Other costs I cannot control. I cannot control rent. I cannot control other fixed costs like insurance, depreciation. I can't control those things. So I just let those go. I mean, of course, we make decisions including non-controllable costs, but of course, the vast majority of decision making is around variable costs. Variable costs, of course, is controlled by management. Fixed costs are costs that we cannot control, and fixed costs, as you know, include things like rent, depreciation, insurance, salaries, office-related expenses that are fixed. We can't control those. Since we can't control those in our decision-making process, we are mindful of them, but we are more concerned about the variable costs. And since we report fixed and variable costs separately, as we learned about under absorption costing, since we learned about absorption costing in the previous week, since we report on those values separately, fixed and variable costs, under absorption costing, we as managers look to control our costs by observing absorption cost reports. So that's decision making, right? That's decision making. In addition to making decisions based on cost, managers always also look at pricing decisions. There are a lot of factors that go into pricing a product. And we talked a lot about pricing in previous sessions. When we make decisions on pricing, we make sure that we cover all of our fixed and variable costs. Of course, we got to break even. You got to break even. We talk about fixed and variable costs together because management needs to be able to make a decision on pricing their products. And of course, we have to break even. So there is a lot of decision making when it comes to pricing our products. And we talked about different models that we can use to price products. There's the cost plus model. There's the cost plus markup model. There's the cost plus model, right? There's the doubling model. And then we factor in the target profit model, right? There's so many different methods to pricing products and making decisions around pricing products. And we did talk some about that in previous sessions. It's important that no matter how management makes decisions on pricing their products that, of course, we, at minimum, break even. At minimum, cover our fixed and variable costs. That's the whole idea behind pricing products. And we also talked a little bit about the short-term and long-term perspectives of pricing products. We know that under absorption costing, we typically set pricing using short-term decision-making because in the short term, we take into consideration the fixed and variable costs, and that makes sense. They're together typically under absorption costs, and we talked about that. We talked about, how the fixed factory overhead is taken into consideration with the variable costs of products in product pricing under absorption costing. So for the short term, makes perfect sense to use absorption costing. Under the long term, we typically look at variable costing models. Why is this important? It's mainly because we need to make sure that our selling price will cover our fixed costs and will help us to generate a revenue or an income. And of course, listing a sales price above your costs takes into consideration the idea of target profit. So in the long run, we take into consideration the variable costing model that we talked about in our previous session. And in the short term, we've taken into consideration absorption costing. And that's how we set prices for our products. So that's pricing. We're in week 7. So what does that mean for the exam? For the exam 3, exam 3 will take into consideration absorption costing. It'll take into consideration variable costing, the things we talked about in the previous weeks, right? The final exam will take more into consideration kind of a broad approach when it comes to this week, the pricing decisions, and a little bit of what we're going to cover next week. But it won't be too heavily focused. The idea with the third exam is it'll cover the past 2 weeks. So weeks 6 and 5 will be on exam 3. The final exam will cover week 7 and week 8. Which brings us to our next topic, robotic process automation. This is one of the discussions for this week. Robotic process automation, this week or next week. Robotic process automation. We in the world of accounting, we do a lot of mundane tasks. What do I mean by that? We do a lot of repetitive things. We enter the same journal entries at the end of every month. The adjusting entries, right? We make adjustments for depreciation expense. We make adjustments for earned revenues, unearned revenues. We make adjustments for, you name it, right? Oftentimes when there are repetitive tasks that a human does, there are ways to automate the process through using robotics. Robotics, when you think of robotics, I'm not talking about R2-D2. I'm not talking about, other famous robots. The term robot or bot is used interchangeably with software processes as well as hardware processes. From the perspective of accounting, we're concerned about the use of bots in software to automate certain processes that are done by humans. In our field, we look at this from the perspective of repetitive actions that humans do that can easily be done automatically using a robotic process, hence the term robotic process automation. This is an up and coming developing process in accounting where things like adjusting entries are being done for us, where entering purchases into the computer is now being into the software, into our accounting software like QuickBooks or M3 or Oracle or whatever you're using. Entering purchases is no longer a difficult task or a boring task, right? It's not just entering the journal entries anymore. Now it's a matter of we can take a picture of the receipt with our phone and the transactions will automatically fill into the software. That's cool. That's pretty cool. That is a part of robotic process automation. It's making our daily tasks as accountants easier. And in some cases, it's replacing tasks that we do. That's a whole idea behind robotic process automation. The reason why we're talking about it in this class, and I'm sure you probably talked about it in other accounting courses, is we as humans need to learn how to work with automated processes. We see that it's replacing simple tasks around us. For example, if you look at the banking sector, the automated teller, yes, it's a very old concept, the automated teller machine, right? You go up to the machine, you put your card in, and you tell it what you want to do. You can deposit checks or cash. You can withdraw checks or cash. You could even do transfers between accounts, so forth and so on, right? Very old technology. It's been around since the 60s. But now there's been an evolution. We're seeing an evolution of technology. In fact, some are calling it the fourth industrial revolution, where we're seeing robotic process automation in a lot of different areas. The reason I brought up the ATM is robotic process automation is even replacing tellers, the actual tellers in the bank, through things like voice recognition, through artificial intelligence making decisions for us. And so that is a real thing that's happening in our industry in accounting. We also see it in the finance world. In finance, you might be faced with artificial intelligence through stock picking for your stock portfolio, or for your 401k, or for your other type of investment or retirement vehicles. What we see there is the use of artificial intelligence is identifying trends, analyzing those trends and changes in stock market activity through the identification of trends in big data, analyzing that big data, and then making decisions for you to buy and sell shares of stock within your portfolio. That is artificial intelligence. That is a part of robotic process automation. So we as humans need to find ways to live with and utilize to our advantage robotic process automation in the field of accountancy. And that is the reality. That's the direction that accounting's heading in. And it's not and I don't want you to think, oh my goodness, computers are going to take our jobs away. No. Oh my goodness, robots will take the jobs away. No, no, not at all. From the way I see things, is that the role of an accountant is evolving. The role of everyone in our field is evolving. Those roles won't disappear. They will simply be modified, right? Uh, and so the idea behind it is to make humans more efficient, not to replace them. So this is an example of robotic process automation when it comes to bank reconciliation. And I just want to kind of show you this. Sorry. So the reason I showed you that video, oh, sorry, the reason why I showed you that video is it's important to understand that all those tasks that you just saw were done by creating what we call a bot, a BOT, a robot, essentially. So what a bot is, it's a computer software that that you can identify various steps for the computer to take and execute that without having to do any of the work yourself. That is robotic process automation. You are directing the computer software that you developed to execute various tasks. Now you're thinking, oh, Dr. B, I'm not a software developer. I don't know anything about that. I don't know how to do coding or how to do anything like that. Well, the cool thing with robotic process automation is you don't need to know how to do any of that stuff. I'm not a coder. I'm not an expert with computers in any sense of the word. What I do know how to do is tell the computer what to do. And we see that, when you tell the computer what to do in a step-by-step fashion, and you do that in a software that is used to help you to create bots, it's a matter of a click of a button. The bot executes and performs all those tasks. And it's really that simplistic. We saw that in that video, we saw that the computer, the bot, was able to import a CSV Excel file into QuickBooks and upload hundreds of transactions into the QuickBooks software, and then classified each transaction within a matter of minutes. Yeah, that's what a bot does. That is what RPA is. And so that is what is helping the accountants to be more sophisticated in their work by RPA assisting accountants in their daily tasks. And so that's what makes our field that much more interesting, is because we are able to use RPA to assist us to do our jobs. And what that does is it provides leverage for accountants to be more dynamic. And this last slide and this last video I'm about to show you shows the end-to-end automation using robotic process automation through invoicing. I think this one's only a few minutes.
If your business has an insane number of invoices to process and pay, we have an insane number for you. 70%. That's what you can save on invoice processing costs. This number is brought to you by UST SmartOps, the intelligent process automation platform that learns and streamlines your invoice processing. Our proprietary algorithms operate with a limited data set to classify, extract, and group data. Only requiring days to configure, this smart software delivers real value faster. Here's how it works. UST SmartOps patented AI technology intakes files and then classifies and extracts the required data from invoices. Our format agnostic technology focuses on just the desired data from each invoice, enabling the quick scalability for multiple suppliers. For more accurate processing, a continuously improving algorithm validates information and finds ways to increase speed and enhance quality. With integration capabilities for the leading accounting systems, UST SmartOps easily exports data to your specific accounting software. Dashboards enable real-time visualizations and insights for more informed decision-making. From receiving an invoice all the way to the vendor payment, UST SmartOps is the automated end-to-end solution with the off-the-shelf workflows and models that make it easy to adopt and train. It's also flexible and modular, so you can automate all steps, or just some, or even expand beyond invoicing. Even better, UST SmartOps is a hassle-free product supported by exceptional customer service. Our experts offer best-in-class automation know-how and consult on change management. All in all, USG SmartOps works seamlessly to intake files, classify documents, extract data, validate info, and export to systems, all while automating the entire process. USG SmartOps understands the needs of your finance operations. So learn more about how our business-led technology empowers your people to do more of what they do best. Contact an AI automation expert today.
So the point to that video is it shows how robotic process automation ultimately saves the business in terms of cost of processing. Uh, some time ago, I gave an example. I forget, to be honest. I think it was like week 3 or 4. I gave an example of a company that manufactures riding lawnmowers and snowmobiles, and we talked about through that example. We talked about, oh my goodness, I want to say it was oh yes, it was the application of factory overhead, and so through that example, there was a component within the factory overhead. We talked about the cost of processing invoices, or the cost of processing customer orders. There is a cost, as you know, associated with pretty much everything we do in business. The reduction of such costs through robotic process automation is very beneficial to the business. So, so in that discussion, the robotic process automation discussion, that's what makes all of this interesting, right? So, so that is actually, believe it or not, the end of the presentation for today. It's a very short presentation because you have a very busy week ahead, and there's not a whole lot of new content to discuss. So let's quickly recap what's happening this week, what's happening, and we'll also talk a little bit about next week. So week 7, the focus is on decision making, of course, how pricing impacts manufacturing costs, which we talked about. Very Again, it's really nothing new. We've actually talked a lot about those things already in weeks 5 and 6. When it comes to what has to happen this week, oh, and of course, there's the learning resource is one chapter from the Kaplan book. It's just all more on cost price setting. This week, what do we got going on? 2 discussions. One's an IMA website exploration. Very straightforward, very simple. I'm not looking for a lot here, maybe a paragraph, honestly. Don't dive too deep into it. If you find things that are of interest, let me know. I actually do sit on the local IMA chapter in the District of Columbia, and it's a decent organization overall. If you're looking to get into the professional side of accounting, definitely consider that organization as one to join. There's a lot of good content in there. It helps you to prepare for the CMA exam. The CMA exam is offered through IMA, and it's overall a decent organization in my opinion. So that's one discussion, very short, sweet, simple, to the point. The second one is about robotic process automation and cost accounting that we just talked about. The idea behind this is I want you to understand what RPA is, what it does, and how it helps to reduce overall cost, because RPA has a major impact on the cost of the business. And that's, again, very simple, straightforward discussion. There's a lot more content about RPA under the e-reserves tab in the classroom up here. Okay, but other than that, that's the easy stuff this week, right? So don't be too concerned about getting those discussions done right away. It's not a big deal if they're late, to be honest. I'm very much more concerned about the big things this week. What are the big things? Well, you got your week 7 assignment in Gleim, of course. You got your third exam. The third exam covers the last 2 weeks. So it covers week 6 and what you learned in week 6 and week 5. Okay. That's covered on exam 3. It's very similar to the previous exams, same amount of questions. It's timed, but I expanded the time, so don't be concerned. It's like 16 hours or something like that. It probably won't take you more than 45 minutes to complete. It's a pretty straightforward exam. It's a mix of quantitative and qualitative, multiple choice, just like before. So my advice to you is complete homework assignment 7 first, then complete exam 3. Okay. So those are items number 1 and 2, right? Homework assignment 7, then do exam 3. Then your 10K report. Okay, the report, the directions were given to you early on. You could find them under the syllabus tab, but you could also find them here. So that your report, I'm not looking for a whole lot of craziness. Okay, and it's not just a summation of all of the discussions that we've had. It needs to be a little bit more than that, but don't go too crazy with it. I'm only looking for like a couple of pages. And really what I'm looking for is that you're demonstrating your understanding of cost accounting through your analysis of the financial statements. Nothing too difficult, right? If you want to include images, graphs, charts, yeah, definitely do it. Absolutely. It helps to have some visualization with your data. There is an Excel document. So if you click on this link here, there is an attachment. Download the attachment. It's the project instructions, the same instructions that I believe are under the syllabus tab. If you come down to week 7, which is where we are, it tells you exactly what needs to be submitted. So the 10K report, it's the Word document, 5 to 7 pages. It tells you the margin, all the specs, right, for your paper. And then you'll plug in all the data for your paper. There's an Excel ratio file spreadsheet. So it's asking you to perform a couple of ratios. Now, here's my advice when it comes to the Excel document, because I know, not all of us are experts at Excel. I'm certainly not an expert. I know how to do some things with it, but and you probably already have a lot of the data. It's all in the 10K document, but you'll need to compute a couple of ratios, right? Which is what this is asking you to do. So if you look at the 10K report, you'll find the various data for your ratios. And you create your ratios. So what am I looking for exactly? So if we go into Excel, let's say, one of those ratios is the quick ratio. Okay, so what's the quick ratio? Well, current assets over current liabilities, right? So if you're computing the quick ratio, for example, you just simply current assets, current liabilities, you plug in that information there. Whatever. That's a pretty terrible ratio, right? But current assets divided by current liabilities, there's your ratio. So formatting, I'm not an expert at formatting when it comes to Excel. So as long as it's clean and understandable. That's what I'm looking for when it comes to the Excel document. And I don't want you to really write a whole lot in the Excel document, meaning like I'm not looking for like paragraphs in addition to your ratios to analyze the ratios. Well, what I'm really looking for in the Excel document is the ratios themselves. So so don't go too crazy with that. Okay. And again, it's just a matter of your understanding of the ratios and the computation of those ratios. So what ratios are we looking for? Uh, okay, so let's see here. So we're looking for inventory turnover, operating margin, working capital. Um, we're looking for inventory balances, inventory turnover, cost of goods sold, operating margin. A lot of this stuff, you're going to find it right in the 10K report. The ratios, you probably won't find those in the 10K report. They're out there, of course, but I want you to show how you derive that ratio. So in other words, just like I showed you in this quick example, if it's something like a current ratio of current assets divided by current liabilities, you pump in the data from the 10K report, and then you perform the actual function. And that's really what I'm looking for. Any questions on that? Does it make sense? We're okay? All right.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. And then, of course, the last item related to your project is the PowerPoint presentation. Nice and easy. Just like it's basically what you submitted in week 6 with any adjustments that you've made based off of the feedback from your classmates. So that's, where are we? Week 7. So again, my recommendation to make life as easy as possible for you. Start early. Start very early. I would start like, tonight, tomorrow. Let's knock out homework 7 first, then knock out exam 3, and then the 10K report and Excel file. It's a lot. It's probably like, this is by far the busiest week out of all of the weeks, out of the 8 weeks of this course. I know. I'm sorry. I don't know who made this decision to do it like this. It wasn't me. There's the two discussions. Again, if the discussions are a little bit late, I'm not going to be upset. I would save those discussions for last because that's low hanging fruit. I don't want you to stress too much time over those discussions. It's not worth stressing over. I do want you to try to do it in the order that I recommended. So homework 7, then exam 3, then the report, then the Excel file, or Excel file and then the report. Actually, the Excel file might even help you write the report, right? So that's week 7. Are there any comments, questions, concerns? Anything at all?
No, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay, so with that, that is the conclusion of today's session. The session for next week, I'll end up canceling the session for next week. Reason being is because there is no new content in week 8. Okay. You're not going to be learning about anything new in week 8. There's nothing new. There's a small report. I'll upload probably a short video for week 8. The reason why I have to cancel next week is because I'm getting my second COVID vaccine, and I'm very much expecting me to be down and out next Wednesday. So that's the reason why. If for whatever reason I'm not down and out, then I'll probably still run the course, but we'll see what happens.
Professor?
Yes.
I have one more question though with the software. What is it, soft memo?
Yep.
So how can I find the what is that industry, the website, go through it? How can I find this though?
What do you mean the industry?
I
Oh,
don't know.
the manufacturing industry?
Yeah, manufacturing, yes.
Yeah, so so if you go to, I mean, there's a lot of ways to find manufacturing industry data.
Oh, there's no specific website, or just I can find.
No, there's no
Oh.
specific website.
Mhm.
I would recommend that you go to a government website.
Yes.
I personally prefer NIST. NIST.gov is one of the better ones. I also recommend BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics.
Mhm.
That one's probably one of the better websites. You get a price indexes and things like that. That's usually a pretty good one to go to. Another one that I do like is NIST.
Okay.
Those are probably the two best websites to go to get industry data. What you'll find is that there's no specific website for this, especially when it comes to because that particular memo, it's asking for software used in the industry, right? So my recommendation, I would go to this website that is in the discussion, or in the, I'm sorry, in the this part of the IMA website talks a little bit about the software. But if you just do a simple search for cost accounting software used in manufacturing, you're going to find a ton of different softwares that are out there. And it's just a matter of writing about it. So to answer your question, there's not really a specific website. And that should just be a couple of paragraphs long. Nothing, 1 to 2 pages.
Okay, I thought it's a special website.
No special website. Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other comments, questions, concerns? No? Okay, so I would like to thank you all very much for your time today. I appreciate all the hard work that you're all putting into this course. Let's start work early on week 7, and let's do our best. Okay, if anything comes up, if you have a question, you need help with anything, you let me know. Send me an email or a message, or call me, or set up office hours, whatever. Okay, I'm here for you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Hannah. Well, thank you all so very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, do the right things, and I'll see you again. Thank
Have a great day, Dr. B. Good luck with the shot.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you. Thanks, Santa. Have a good day. Take care.